I had just turned 21. I had graduated from college. I had a really good job, and I was feeling really good about myself. I decided I was going to get myself a birthday present. And this was like the late 70s in New York City. And it was sort of the post-hippie, pre-Studio 54 era. And I decided what I wanted to get myself was a pair of custom-made sandals. Now, this is a fashion trend which did not last. But be that as it may, I wanted it then. And I found a place in Greenwich Village in New York, in the West Village, where a guy made custom-made sandals. And I had to go in there for several fittings. They had to pick the quality of the leather, the stain, and most important, I wanted to have a good toe and ankle strap because I wanted to get tan lines. And so I go down there, and they have to fit the instep perfectly, they have to fit the toes perfectly. They did a really magnificent job. And I wanted these sandals because I desperately needed to be cool. Because I felt as though there's something was lacking in my makeup, my constitution, my nature. And so I thought this was going to make me cool. And I was going to go down there on a late Saturday afternoon. It was August. I was going to go over to Washington Square Park. I was going to strut around, around the folk singers, the drummers, the guys selling loose joints, the chess players. I was going to strut around Central Park. It was up Washington Square Park, around the fountain, around the arch. I was going to be the coolest guy in the park, thus the coolest guy in New York City. So I get to the sandal store, and my sandals are ready for me. And I look at them; they're beautiful. They have the new sandal smell. They're wonderful. And I put them on. And the first thing I realized is that they're stiff. And I can't strut around Washington Square Park in these stiff sandals. They got to be broken in. So I said to the guy, sandal guy, what do I do? So he says to me, think of it like this. Think of your sandal as a chip. And think of the sidewalk as a bowl of guacamole. And what you got to do is you got to do a dip, scoop, and a scrape. I said, you dip it into the sidewalk. You want to get as much motion, much bend, and much friction in the bottom of the shoe. And I start doing this. I get the great rhythm going. This is wonderful. I'm going to make it to the park. I'm going to be the coolest guy in New York. Now, I have to interrupt myself, pardon me, to tell you that this was in the years in New York City when you weren't required to pick up after your dog after you're defecated. So I'm doing the, dip, scoop, scrape. And I feel on my left foot something pasty, warm, surprisingly grainy. And it's sort of, the sandals were so well made that it immediately infiltrated every available space from occlusive seal between my foot and the sandals, basically shit seal. And instead of having tan lines, I had shit lines in my foot. Now, my first impulse was to stay in character and to panic. I started scraping my shoes off. All I did was just made this shit more integrated into my feet, to my nails everywhere. And then I realized nobody's going to help me. I'm on my own. I'm a big boy. I'm by myself. So I knew a restaurant over on 6th Avenue. It was called O. Henry's, especially for hamburgers. I went in there, put $5 on the hostess station, went right to the men's room, stuck my foot in the toilet, and I flushed, and I flushed, and I flushed. And I said to myself, this is not how this day was supposed to work out. And then I pleaded to God. I said, I just want to be cool, So, then I heard the word of God, and this is what God said to me. Forget about it, Stuart. You ain't never going to be cool. So I listened to the word of God, took my foot out of the toilet, went back home, took the longest shower I've ever taken. Next day, I went down to Bloomingdale's, bought myself a pair of penny loafers. Thank you.